Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I thought I would give you just like a quick little update on the book I just finished, and maybe some other books too, but I wanted to talk about this book, Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. Um, I think if you're like a woman, you should read this book, honestly. If you're a woman that, has had a friend or some of the same friends for a long time, if you're a woman with like an interesting mom, it's just this book is a really good book to kind of show us as women living today, like what the women before us went through. And I think a lot of it is still completely relevant and we can relate to it a lot. There was a quote in here where so basically, this book is about two friends, Kate and Tully, but it's also about them as women and like the different choices women have, and they end up making different choices in life. And Kate ends up choosing to be a stay at home mom. And it's interesting because it's exactly what Tully did not have. And by, Kate's parents, like, working on their marriage and sticking around and being like good parents and a good family, it gave Tully like a family. Who, whereas, her mom got caught up in like kind of like sort of like just like her ideologies and like doing drugs and partying, but also like just her own like ideology and distaste for what her mother taught her and for something that happened between her and her mom just kind of like crushed her and crushed her ability to be both a mom but also both a good mom but also a like solid career woman or even just sober person. So it's interesting though because later on, at first, the two girls want to, both find career. One of them more Tully more than Kate, but Kate ends up choosing to be a stay-at-home mom, and Tully kind of has to support it as it goes down the line because she remembers like, you know, Kate's mom putting family first and how that love overflowed to help her, give her, the childhood she needed and the encouragement she needed to, you know, set the world on fire, as the book says, with her career. But Kate has to deal with like the hardship that does come with, putting your family first and the immense fulfillment that can give, but also the like lack of independent fulfillment, that you have to feel through that, as well as kind of the lack of support you can get socially, because I think being a mom is like it's one of the best things you can do on this earth, and it still has such a major like implications today. But because it's been around so long and because women really overcame, where they could just and only do that, it's so boring to people that they don't really ask about you once they find out that you're a stay at home mom. It's like it's hard to connect with people in this world that's like moving forward for women. And there's a moment where she says, like, she's at this party and her husband will introduce people to her, and then they ask her what she does and she says, I'm an at-home mom, and then the conversation just dies off, where it's like really hard to kind of like, whereas like, yeah, if she had a job, then they might go on to just talk about food and talk about basic stuff and talk about the books they're reading and talk about, but it just kind of um, like disengages people. And it's really interesting because I felt that when I chose make to leave career at a time in my life and make being a stay-at-home mom like my thing, and I was passionate about that, I noticed like conversations would really drop off, and people just didn't see me as like another like regular person anymore. I felt like a person who'd given up. And it's interesting now, I see some of these videos talking about like teenagers deciding to become, stay-at-home moms, and how that's a bad thing. And it's interesting because it's like there's a lot of good that can come from it, but you definitely have to like balance it and keep your identity and find people that understand like that dichotomy in you, and don't ignore you just because you're not like playing the career game, and you have sacrificed, like you sacrifice an income. um it's just something you don't get paid for. And that is really hard to comprehend, especially as our economy is getting, um, yeah, especially with prices and things these days, and the idea of like sending kids to college being a really important part of what parenthood even is. I think that's become a huge thing. So, anyways, yeah, this book, it's really cool. So it starts in the 70s when they're kids, and it goes through the 80s, the 90s, and then into, the 2000s. And when it starts a new, like, time of life, it will say, like, part two, the 80s. See, like, you can see, like, it's really cool. It has a lot of like music and fashion from the times. Like the girls kind of like follow that, and it becomes a part of their life. And it feels like you're going back in time and kind of becoming friends with like your mom and her friends. See part two, the 80s, love is a battlefield. Heartache to heartache we stand. And then yeah, it feels like you're seeing your mom from like a different light, and like your aunts and stuff. Part four, the new millennium, a moment like this. Some people wait a lifetime. I don't want to give spoilers, but yeah, I think I will say, like, this book teaches for sure. Hold on one second. I will say it definitely, I think one of the lessons I've got from this book is that like fulfillment in life, like part of it does come from the things that you do that make you, separate from other people, separate from, your kids, your husband, if you're an at-home mom, separate from your career, if you're a career woman, but those things don't necessarily have to be like paid things that you give your whole life over to. They just need to be things that you return to make you feel like you. And for some people, it could be more that you return to family to feel like you, but career is the bread and butter of your life. And for some people, it could be that you return to, your craft or your hobby or your interest to feel like you, but the bread and butter of your life is family. And fulfillment comes when all the different kinds of people with the different balances get together and share love. And in the end, that is the greatest thing. Yeah, it also teaches, I think it's a good, this is just a great book when it comes to a lot of things. So that's my update on that. I finished it. I cried. It was amazing. So yeah, and I just want to highlight one other book. Okay, I actually grabbed a couple. So I'll just show this one first. This is kind of secondary, but I grabbed this from the library, Crayon Man, the Crayon Man. It's about the inventor of Crayola crayons. It's really good. And the only thing I want to say about that is just a lot of the picture books they're putting out, like the fiction ones, are no longer have like male main characters or boy main characters. And so raising boys, I look out for that a lot. And I also, but what I'm able to find much more of than in the like picture book section, even though I do look there too, like the fiction picture book section, is these kind of stories. And because, men have done great things and are an important part of our society. And so even if people stop writing picture books about them so much, like, you can still always find tales of great men to inspire your boys in the nonfiction picture book section, the biography section. So I just wanted to say that, and we've found so many of those, especially artists. My son loves art, and there's so many really cool male artists. So yeah. And then I just wanted to highlight this. This has been just so much fun for my 4-year-old. I mean, a lot of moms like this, but just if you haven't gotten into it, just get into it. It really captures their attention. I don't know, it speaks to them. I feel like, we want to read them books that speak to us. This speaks to like little kids, and I think especially kind of like kids of siblings and kids with that playful competition in them. And it also, they'll end up counting, they'll end up learning the words very quickly, and I think that's like really good for early literacy. And yeah, this one's amazing. And you can also read it, and have your older kids read it, because it's a very easy to read. It's a beginner book, so just needed to highlight this. And then I wanted to also just highlight this curriculum. All the curriculums are going really good that I chose, but I must say this in particular was such a good choice. My 4-year-old is to the point where he's asking to do it. I just love it. It's like, draw half of the dog's face, dog, and you're drawing that half of the face and making that half circle. And then it has you build it, and I always ask him, okay, what 2 pieces do you need? And then we draw it, and then he finally does the letter. And I don't know, just this whole kind of system. We did the S's. He had to do half circles on the little skates, and then curves, and then build an S, writes the S on the chalkboard, and then erases it with a wet sponge that it came with, and then do some S's. It's really gentle, really sensory, and he just loves it so much. So I just want to point out that one is really particularly going well. And yeah, I know my hair looks greasy. I'm kind of like resting from washing it a little bit lately, just trying different things to help it to grow back. And yeah, just another tip I wanted to give you. If you are a homeschool family on one income, and you still want your kid to do different things and experiences and camps or whatever it may be, and classes, don't feel that your finances have to hold you back. There are places that have scholarship opportunities where you can apply for scholarships, and if your kid is interested in something, apply for a scholarship. And even if there isn't one, reach out to like get the director's email of a program or something, and reach out and send them your story about why, you make the sacrifices to homeschool so that your kids can follow these interests. Send some pictures of your kid doing their interest. And you never know, because people that run, events like that, they want kids that are engaged. It inspires the other kids. It inspires the teachers to keep going when they have kids that are really into these things. So don't let your, tight budget, which is one of the sacrifices we make as homeschool moms or stay-at-home moms, hold you back, like try to make a way. There are still generous people out there. And yeah, so that is my little spiel for today. I hope you all are doing really well, and reading and exercising and all that stuff. Yeah, it's an interesting time. Teaching yoga might be coming back into my life, which is really cool. But yeah, let me just pray for me and you and our homes and our homeschool and our minds. God, I just lift up whoever is on the other side of this screen, Lord. I lift up their family and I lift up the education of their children, but also the identity of the mom, who is to provide that education, Lord. And God, I just pray that you would help her balance sacrifice with fulfillment and find things and continue to engage herself in things that make her feel like her, so that she can teach her child from the perspective of a whole person and not someone who's just teaching about life, but someone who's living life. God, I just pray that whoever's on the other side of the screen would feel your love and seek to know you better, and that you would help them along their way, and you would help to fulfill them as well. Just that knowledge of you and faith in you and that comfort that only you can bring. And I pray all these things in Jesus' holy name. Amen. Okay, bye.